Hello and welcome to the Jank Tank, a weekly series where I build questionable decks and throw them against the constructed ladder. This week we're looking at Izzet variation on the blue Brineborn Cutthroat Flash decks. It is a tempo-based deck using adventure creatures to get some value and basically play only on their turn. It is an aggressive deck that tries to delay their threats and then counter them after returning them to their hand. So the core of the deck is this Brineborn Cutthroat. Every time I cast a spell on their turn, I'll put a +1/+1 counter on it. So an ideal game is going to start with me playing this on their turn, and then in all future turns just counter whatever spells they play. Obviously we don't have enough counter spells to do that the entire time through, but that's the gist of it. Play down a threat and then cover up above that with things that will eliminate their responses. That way they don't have a chance to stabilize. I like the style of gameplay because it gets in under a lot of counterspell based decks. At 2 mana they don't always have the ability to counter this, and if they do, you're casting it on their turn so that you can go ahead and play stuff on your turn. So Brineborn Cutthroat's a flash based threat. We have a similar flash creature in Brazen Borrower. I only have one copy for this deck, but if you have more, I'll definitely play them for it. This is the perfect card for this style of deck. It's a flying threat that you can play on their turn in place of a counterspell if they play something irrelevant or they want to hold up counterspell magic themselves. Plus, Petty Theft is pretty much an ideal card for this sort of deck. Creature bounce is kind of what tempo-based decks want. If they do manage to resolve something through your mana, if you don't have a counterspell at the time or they cast 2 spells, you can use this to fix that and then play it as a flash creature. This deck is running 4 Runaway Togethers. This is similarly, you can get rid of stuff that they manage to sneak through. I'm running this instead of some other creature-based bounce because it can do some fun things with Brazen Borrower, Hypnotic Sprite, and Bone Crusher. By returning them to your hand, you can replay the adventure spell on each of these. It's a little cute and maybe a little too slow, but I think what it really does is end up giving you enough to do in the mid to late game. It gives you a little more steam to keep playing spells and keep interfering with what they're doing. So yeah, I'm running Hypnotic Spectre. This is just another counterspell that can double up as a cheap threat. If I don't have a 2-drop in Brineborn Cutthroat, I'll probably run a Hypnotic Sprite instead, just so that I have something that I can be winning the game with. They'll probably kill it, and that's fine. It's just 2 mana, so it's a nice cheap creature. You can usually play it and something else. So yeah, that's the goal with that one. Bone Crusher Giant is removal. It kills things early game. This deck has a little bit of trouble if the opponent can kind of get off the ground fast. Like those mono red decks that play out like 3 creatures in the first 2 turns. Bone Crusher can help deal with that, and then he's just a big beefy beatstick. If they don't have something big, then his 4/3 size is enough to put pressure on them until they play something else. For counterspells, I've got Quench and Sinister Sabotage. I don't know how I feel about Quench, but it is at 2 mana, and this deck is pretty tight on mana. It tries to be very efficient with it, so you can usually get some pretty good things while they try and answer your Brineborn Cutthroat. So yeah, at 2 mana, it is the right cost. I'm playing Fateful End as damage. You can probably substitute other instant speed burn spells for this. Fateful End is a little bit expensive, but this is what I'm running with. We'll see if there's anything else I would have liked better at the end of the show. Royal Scions is just kind of some value I threw into the deck. You could probably replace it. It doesn't fit the exact theme of cheap threats that are more expensive for them to answer and flashy things, but it does give you some pretty good value over a long period of time. And the +2/0 and First Strike and Trample is pretty great on flying creatures. So I've been pretty happy with it when I played it. It lets you put on a lot of health pressure and can help you finish out a game before they can draw something good to wipe the board with or force through your counter spells. And with a deck like this, when you're running a lot of counters, being able to filter your draws to look for those counters with the other +1 is really solid. And finally, at the very top of the curve, I've got Thrix. I want another big flashy beat stick that could help finish the game faster. Thrix does that. I have found he is a pretty good answer to planeswalkers. Most planeswalkers create tokens on the ground to block, or bounce something back to your hand with 5 mana Ashiok. You can play Thrix at the end of the turn that they play planeswalkers, and then go and hit them with it. So he does a good job handling planeswalkers, which this deck normally has a pretty big issue with, as well as destroying the opponent. So I've liked him. Getting to 5 mana is a little questionable, so sometimes he's not great. I don't want to see him in my opening hand for sure, but he's usually pretty welcome. Land base skewed a lot towards blue because I've got Hypnotic Sprites and Sinister Sabotage I gotta hit. I'm running Guild Gates. Obviously, if you have the Temple of Epiphanies, you can run those instead. Or Steam Vents. I definitely think both of those are worth. So if you have Steam Vents, run those. The 2 life doesn't really matter when you need to play it. This deck typically puts on more pressure than the opponent is applying. Right, so that's the deck. Let's go have a look at it. I'm going to aim for 3 games this week and try and keep it on time. Last week's episode really dragged on with that last game. It was a good match. Alright. I'm not a huge fan of this because I don't have anything to attack them with, but the Omen of the Sea is pretty fair. Double Quench turn 1, like early game Quench is very nice. Play the gate first. Alright, so we may be quenching, or if not, we can Omen of the Sea to look for a Brineborn. Alright, we get to quench, or Omen. Don't want Thrix. Go with the Hypnotic Sprite. I'm not going to play it right out of it. Well, that's fun. Alright, so Scion seems pretty questionable to me. Their board is empty. I don't want another land. The board is empty, so I can start ticking up. Maybe he'll just bounce it with like a Brazen Borrower. Guild Mage. Alright, so we're probably looking at a Dream Trawler deck that's not going to care about what we do. So, good news for us, we can actually counter the Dream Trawler when they run it out. Don't really know how to deal with this Guard Mage, though. I think we're just going to play this. +1 again. I don't really want another Runaway together. So, this is... I'm not thrilled at seeing blue-white being able to get on board like this, but we're not dead yet. And we'll be able to play some stuff next turn, I think. While keeping counterspell mana up.
I need a hand, Will.
So if they want to just pass, that's okay. Perfect. This is great. Go ahead and pay 2 life. And he can assume I have something good, I don't care. I don't know what I want to discard in this scenario, though. Oh, easily don't want another Runaway together. Alright, so now I would like to Brineborn Cutthroat and then play Hypnotic Sprite to counter something of his. Yeah, see that? I think I'm just gonna let that resolve. It's a good card, but not what I need to counter. With 3 mana left, he was probably sitting on a Sinister Sabotage himself. do have the chance to play a Brineborn Cutthroat right now without him countering it. Which is really tempting, but I think any counterspell he has is going to get Hypnotic Sprited. We'll see. I'm going to go for it now just in case he sits on like another land and 2 counterspells. I would really like this Brineborn to resolve. Oh, it seems good. He can't afford to pay the 2 Quench. So we're going to go ahead and get this, and we'll see if he has anything else this turn. Alright, so we are pretty much exactly where we'll want to be now. We have several counterspells. We've got a Planeswalker. We've got a Brineborn Cutthroat. He's going to have to play something to deal with our board position that's way better than his. And these Royal Scions are tanking.
You have the heart of a coward.
Yeah, see, he's trying to counter my stuff, but it's just... Oh, that was a misplay back there, sorry. I should have cracked my Omen of the Sea. Yeah. Alright, so if I counter this, then he can Dream Trawler it. I can keep attacking though. We'll see. I'm gonna counter. He can play stuff on his turn, that'll be pretty good. I'll leave that on top. So the reason I'm okay if he resolves a Dream Trawler is because I can try and tap it down on his turn. Well, that seems good. Oh, he didn't take my creature. He's not scared of Brineborn Cutthroat.
What is my strategy here?
I can't get that back, unfortunately. So he's bought himself some time. I'm going to play out Hypnotic Sprite, and now I have something to run Runaway together with if I need it. Unfortunately, he is pretty much at the point where he can resolve Dream Trawler, which is my biggest fear. Not gonna attack. Seems good.
To know is to triumph.
I'll counter. I don't want him drawing more cards. I want my Scion. I'm just trying to decide if I'm going after his Scions or not. I think I just want to kill him. I may regret that. I'm hoping he goes for the double block, though. Alright, we did it. Nope, we didn't do it. He doesn't care about his life total. Which is probably correct. Alright, so we're going to play out more flying creatures and fast turn. Hopefully this is enough evasive threats to do something good. 6, 7, 8. I do have double quench, so if he goes for a Dream Trawler, I actually can counter it, I think. Should be nice. Caller of Gales. Whatever. I'm not thrilled, but Brineborn's really big now. Yeah. Quench again. I kind of need to just get stuff going. I'm going to turn on full control because I want to scry before I draw. Okay.
You will not block our noble path.
He's going to punch me. Would be a complete mistake, I think. 8. Oh, no, that would be 1 damage short if he attacks me. Oh. That's interesting. He didn't attack, which means he didn't want to draw and discard. So I presume his hand is good. Alright, both these are trash. Quench is no good anymore. Also not good. I don't want full control anymore. Okay. I think I'm just going to swing at him. He's gonna let it through. I'm okay with this. There's a possibility I just draw a Fateful End and deal 3 to his face. He doesn't stabilize right now. I'm a little short on mana because of that scry. Okay. He's got plenty of mana left, so I can return it to his hand and do pretty much nothing. I think that's fine.
Let us plan for the trials ahead.
Mountain. Not exactly what I wanted to see. I'm assuming he just chumps with the agent at this point. I'll definitely take Elite Guard Mage. Alright. Let's see if he has any flyers. Alright, so now a Dream Trawler for him would probably kill me. He might very well just... yeah, I think he's going to draw 4 and kill my Brineborn. I'll be able to get my deputies back, which might do enough to any target. Oh, that's annoying. So he doesn't have to target yet. So if I want to keep my Brineborn... Brineborn's kind of irrelevant. I'm just going to go ahead and... bounce these. So I got 2 flyers again. He can... kill one of them.
And the heart's fervor.
Oh, I see. He would have had to target then. That's too bad. I could have saved a sprite. That's annoying. Yeah, I think he slightly got away from me. I'm gonna need to draw some non-lands in the future. Alright, Bone Crusher is a good card. Not anything good to attack with it right now. But I can adventure it. Pump my Cutthroat. We'll see what he swings with. Yeah, don't really have anything I can do about that. This stuff's just slightly too big for me. Yep, there it is. So that Agent of Treachery really killed me, getting that Scions. Yep, that's it. We're done. So this Bone Crusher could do some pretty good work, but it can't kill a Dream Trawler, so I'm gonna concede. Move on to the next one. Almost got there. It's just a few points off. I don't like it. Double Scion's kind of useless. This is terrible, and I'm going first. Not good options. I'm gonna keep it. Hope I draw into an island. Yeah. If I don't draw an island in the first two turns, well, first two draws, I'm probably just gonna concede. This is not gonna go anywhere without blue. If I do get an island, though, I can Brineborn Cutthroat and we'll be good. Until they burn it. Okay. That's pretty good against our deck. Didn't get an island, that's too bad. What are they likely to play? 3 is probably going to be too big for me to burn. I'm just going to go ahead and stomp the Goose to buy myself some time. Goose helps him get his bigger threats out before I'm ready to deal with them. Alright, we're slowly getting there. That gives us the blue we need, so it depends on what he does with his 3 mana. Alright, I wish I had kept my Bone Crusher Giant. It's not going to go well for us. Draw all the cards. Fortunately, these rivers and reefs don't get very big, so I may be able to deal with them. I'm gonna go ahead and try and get some more cards. Another Bone Crusher's great news. Really could use a land, though. Yeah, I really want an island. This might be a mistake. Okay. Alright. Steam Vents will work. I'm gonna pay 2 life and mysteriously not do anything, just in case he's curious if I have any counterspells. No, he could be sitting on a Frilled Mystic. Leyline. Okay. This is probably... oh, this is going to end up being a Wilderness Reclamation. I can counter the Wilderness Reclamation, so that's okay. So I didn't end up needing to pay the 2 life there. I thought I might be quenching something, but this is not the case. Unless he's got quench. It'd be hilarious. Alright, so I just need to make sure he doesn't ever get another... Oh, that's nice. Very much like that draw. I'm gonna attack because he doesn't have to play a spell before I can... Yeah. One more mana and I can Fateful End while holding up Quench. That's fine. Maybe it's not fine, but we'll see. Problem is I'm vastly out-mana'd here. Quench is not a real counterspell anymore. Yes. I mean, he knows I have counter magic. Okay. That's an interesting inclusion. Maybe he's gonna elemental spam to draw through his deck. I mean, I've seen these Risen Reefs do that, so... Could be. Yep, no land. Could Omen of the Sea. I think we'll just hold off on it and do it on his turn, though. The problem is, I should have... I don't know if I could have countered his Leyline because I had Quench, but if possible, that Leyline's actually a problem for me. I didn't think about it before, but if he can cast on my turn, then I'm not casting anything on his turn. It's a pretty garbage place to be. So... It's a very awkward game. I'm glad to see not a swing with the Reefs. Yeah, I can't really hold up counterspell magic and use my mana. I'm going to be omening. Alright, I need that Sinister Sabotage. I also need mana, but I need Sinister Sabotage. Whatever he's building up mana for is probably going to be big. This is really frustrating. I want to play this Bone Crusher Giant, but I don't have... Seems good. Yeah, I think I'm just going to hold up a defense and wait for him to make a move. He wins the long game because this castle is going to just out-efficiency me. But we'll see. He's down on cards. Maybe he only draws a few good threats and I can counter them. There we go. I passed there because I wanted to hold up Sinister Sabotage. If I ever tap out, he can play anything, basically. Yeah, he got greedy. I mean, he gets the Crisis draws, but he gets 0 Crisis. No attack. Getting a lot of draws is pretty good, though. Sam tapped out, he can go Agent of Treachery or whatever he wants to play. He gets mana and card draw. It's pretty good divination. Okay. Interesting. Death Touch is obviously a problem. And he gets to draw forever. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of spot removal to deal with these Risen Reefs now. Oh, I've got an island though. That's great. He's got 1 billion mana. Trying to decide what his biggest threat is. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Thassa makes it impossible to attack. Gained life from the Krasis. I could just play a bunch of sprites, but I think this game's just over. Yeah, I mean, his curve seems to be like impossibly low, so maybe I can just get him with Hypnotic Sprites. With this much mana, I wonder if he plays Frilled Mystic. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to take that damage for now. Want to kill that. I'll counter it. And then he can play literally whatever he wants. It's a fun deck. Risen Reef is a pretty good card. I don't know what he's thinking about. He can cast pretty much anything. Okay. Seems good. Alright. So, still no removal. Do you have counterspells? Let's see what he taps down of mine, if anything. Oh, I should have attacked. No, he's got the Moss Viper. I should have attacked with the Bone Crusher Giant, but that was my mistake. Unfortunately, casting Hypnotic is going to take both of my blues, so that's not great either. You can have that Engineer. Mana's good, but it's not drawing him cards. That seems good. I probably should have quenched that, my mistake. I don't think it's gonna matter for this game, Thus is too strong. Like, he can actually untap and kill me now. I mean, or just do that. Let's see if he goes for the kill. I'm tapped out. Cool. Yeah, I think that game would have gone differently if I had held the Bone Crusher Giant. Getting one of his elementals would have been a big blow to his economy. But I didn't know what he was doing. I was expecting a more creature-focused aggressive deck. Something with a beefy 3-drop. It's interesting. I don't like runawaying together my Brineborn Cutthroats, but I do like Cutthroat turn 3 Quench, so we'll see what he has for early threats. That's helpful. Now I just need to find another land. Alright, so he's got Daxos. Daxos I think is fine. I don't like it because his gaining life is going to give him plenty of time to do what he needs to. But it's not going to be big enough to keep up with my Brineborn. So he's going to have to play cards, get them countered, and I'll just outpace him. Alright, so this is going to be... yeah. I'm going with Hypnotic Sprite because I think there are plenty of targets for Quench next turn. I mean, there's plenty of targets for Sprite too, but I want to be able to do Brineborn and Quench next turn if I draw a land. Might be a little optimistic. Oh. Yeah, I guess he's got the life gain to offer trades like this. Let's see what he does. If he goes land 2-drop, then I guess I'll Fateful End Daxos instead. Yeah. Death to Daxos. Want that. It's a little... I don't like that. Let's see. So we're still at... yeah. So I could trade my Brineborn for both his guys. I don't know if that's a good trade, but I think I'm going to offer it. Yeah, I didn't think he would want it. Alright, so I can't really counter what he plays this turn, but I can run away together it. That's okay. So we're going to bounce Daxos, I think. Is the play here. Maybe Brineborn. Brineborn. And then... yeah, I'm gonna leave this up, see if he plays anything really tasty for me to Quench. And if not, if he just passes here, yeah, we're gonna go Brineborn instead. 2 Brineborns are pretty dangerous. Okay. Wasn't expecting that. I think that's probably okay though. I should have run away together first. Yeah, we'll just we'll get rid of those two. This giant killer is actually quite problematic. No blocks. So what we're going to do is... yeah, I mean, there's no reason to do this on my turn. I'm just going to run away together and then Hypnotic Sprite when he tries to replay it. Unfortunately, the Giant Killer is possibly a big problem, because he's going to double Sentinels it. Oh, that's nice. So I will... All but Glitters is pretty good. I've seen a lot of decks running All but Glitters. I don't think it's a good card, but I guess that's me. Alright, so he knows that I have this, but I guess he wants to run through it. The problem is he can double Sentinels the Giant Killer, and then attack and tap every turn. So I need to draw something. Well, I can actually just try and kill him. Cool. Okay, I think we did it. That was a little closer than my liking. I was expecting more standard life gain with Daxos to Johnny and then like the Black Splash for Aerialist. But yeah, he played around Quench really well. I guess people are getting used to it. Game 3. This probably should be our last game. Alright, I like it. I'd like a little more steam, like a Hypnotic Sprite would be nice, but... Brineborn into Quench into Fateful End is okay. It's an aggressive start. Should be okay though. Brineborn will get bigger than it pretty quickly. But if he's got... yeah, if he's got a curve... Good news is these guys pretty much rely on a Johnny's Pridemate to make them good. And I've got a counter for Pridemate. Sweet. That is what I like to see. No. That would be a good trade for him. And I think he would take it. I think he would realize that. Alright. He's gonna have to do a lot of work to get through my counterspells. I guess that's fine. No blocks. It's gaining life. Alright, so we're going to get rid of his Healer's Hawk, I think. Run away together. That is great with Hypnotic Sprite. We'll keep it. Okay, so... oh, yeah, this isn't a race I win yet, so we're going to... he's playing around Quench. I probably should... I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. Oops, don't want that. That's a bad attack. Alright, the reason I feel okay running this out like this is because I want to be able to attack him while he's not swinging with his vampires. He could play something that I don't like, in which case I can... no, in this case I'll Quench it. I was gonna say I can run away together too, to put this right back in my hand, if I needed to. But I think we're okay now. I've got early pressure, or I've got attacking pressure. Why? It's tapped out. Oh, they're Death Touch. Alright, I'm bad at this game. Alright, so I'm very bad at this game. That probably just cost me everything. Although, to be honest, I don't have a way to deal with Death Touching, so they're pretty much a solid answer to the Cutthroats. Counter that. Don't want it. I desperately need Scions to pull me out of this now. Yeah, I've made a terrible mistake. Good news though. I have spells. I'm just gonna play it. He'll play something, and I'll have to run away together it and then counter it next turn. Okay. That's pretty good for me. I think I can deal with Heliod, at least for now. Because Heliod was only good for giving people lifelink until he gets a lot of permanents. And I can just keep bouncing those things. Yeah, like, I can run away together this. This is perfect. Okay, so the most aggressive thing is to Bone Crusher Giant. Yeah. He can replay the Pride Mate. I can bounce it with Hypnotic Sprite and counter it. Or you can play that. Alcide's pretty good. And he's tapped out, so he can't afford to give anything lifelink right now. He's tapped out of white, I should say. That's too bad. So he can go up to 7 on my turn. I can get 2 more damage in. Okay. I might have him. I don't know how much... Oh yeah. I don't know if he's got anything else in his hand, but on the board... Yeah, that's not going to do it. On the board he can go up to 7 by attacking me. I can swing back, and then run away together my Bone Crusher Giant for the last point of damage. If he doesn't attack, then I guess I can just... Yeah, I figured he would. Yeah. Or I could bounce right now, get rid of his Alcide, he goes to 6. There's no Alcide, but he has a growing Pride Mate. Yeah, see, I can't quite get through with the Alcide up. Okay, I got it. Sorry, I shouldn't have had to think about it that much. Bone Crusher Giant can kill the Pride Mate. So he gives it Prot Blue. It doesn't get bounced. And then I Bone Crusher Giant it for lethal. Okay, he didn't give it prot. So now he gains no life this turn. I swing for 2, Bone Crusher him for the other 2. I don't know what's in his hand, but I think I'm good. Have like a attacker removal. Did we do it? I think we did it. Close. If you got that Pride Mate rolling, I would not have had good options. Oh man, those games were a lot closer than I would have liked. But that's kind of how it is with tempo decks. You either don't quite get there, or you win. So, some variations for this deck. You can run other flash threats in it too. This is pretty light on the creature threats and heavier on the removal and counterspells, which is, I think, how I like the mix, but you can also run stuff like Spectral Sailor and Fairy Vandal. So the Spectral Sailor will give you an outlet for your extra mana if you are on a stalled board or they are not playing into your counterspells. He's got an activated ability that lets you pay 4 mana to draw a card, and it really helps you finish the game out if they are kind of playing around what you're doing. Plus it's a 1/1 flyer, so it's a good turn 1 drop. Lets you start putting pressure on early. Play spells to Brineborn on their turn. He's a good 1 drop. I've seen people using a pretty good effect. I'm not a big fan of him, but you can get some good value out of it. You can play Fairy Vandal as a secondary Brineborn Cutthroat. If you draw your second card each turn, you put a counter on him. He works really well with a Scion, so I'd probably go up to 4 Scions at that point. He can trigger off of Omen of the Sea, but at that point you are playing it on your turn, so you're not triggering Brineborn Cutthroat or holding up counterspell magic. I'm not as big of a fan, but the growing flying threat's pretty real. You kind of have to respect it. So consider altering your deck in some way to give you instant speed card draw. Either running more Scions or cutting out like the Thrix for like an instant speed divination. I believe the Thirst for Enlightenment. Thirst for Meaning. You can run this one, I guess. We don't really have enchantments to discard to it unless you draw an Omen of the Sea and you're like, well, I don't need to draw card draw with my card draw, and you can pitch that. But options, it gives you some more threats, basically. If you're running into more removal heavy and you're having a hard time sticking Brineborn Cutthroat, you can run Fairy Vandal to back it up. You can always do Thassa's Intervention. It's a good card. It's kind of the ideal for draw-go decks like this. You're either fixing your hand or countering what they're doing. Scales really well. Pretty much anytime you're paying X, they're not going to have twice X for it. So that's a solid one, but it's not good early game, which I don't like. It's basically a 3 mana quench that scales, but being at 2 mana is really important for quench, so it's a solid card, but I think your mileage is going to vary on that one. I ran Mischievous Chimera in this initially, and it seems good. You cast spells on their turn, deal damage to them, and scry. But it doesn't have flash, and I think that broke the deal for it. I just had to cast it, and then they would respawn, and that's not the game this is trying to play. You can try and make it work if you want, but I did not have success with them as much as I like this card. It needed flash to work. You let your shields down, and they kind of run away with the game after that. As said before, you should run probably 4 Brazen Borrowers. That good. We didn't see him in any of those games because it's Singleton, but he is really, really, really solid. Just another beat stick. Does his job really well. Solves problems. Good to pair with Runaway together. It's a lot of value. You can run Dream Eater instead of Thrix. I don't think I have him. Yeah. This is a replacement Flash Flyer. He surveils in addition to returning a permanent to their hand when you play him, which is really good, but he's 1 more mana, so I don't know which is going to work better for you. I want to say that the 5 mana is a pretty key distinction, because a lot of the planeswalkers that Thryx is good at dealing with come out at 5, but it's up to you. Being able to return permanents to their hand can just seal the game sometimes. So this has got enough bounce otherwise that I don't think you need the return a permanent effect. But if you like it, if you've got them instead of the Thryx, for example, you can run that. It's a fine card. It does what we need it to. I don't think the 3 points of toughness are really going to be too relevant for it. And the last variation for this is you can take out pretty much all the red and start running blue-green. I haven't had a chance to test this personally, but it should be good. It gets you some good options with Growth Spiral as another instant speed draw spell and puts a land into play, which is kind of what you really want. So you can get some pretty good plays with that over Omen of the Sea. You can run Frilled Mystic. Enters play a counter target spell, pairs very well with Runaway together. He basically for 6 mana can automatically counter something that's already in play. And then let's see. Oh yeah, that also gets you. This is a pretty neat one. The Night Pack. I don't think I have any of those either. Or oh, that's because we got the filter on. There we go. Night Pack Ambusher. 4 mana flash, so it can take the place of Thryx, and then every time you don't cast something on your turn, you get more creatures to attack with. It's pretty insanely powerful. If you got like the Runaway Togethers and the like Brazen Borrower, they're not going to be able to stabilize. You're going to bounce everything while advancing your board. You just need to be able to make sure that you can protect it with counterspells. It's flash, so you should be able to untap and be ready. Obviously, though, if you're paying attention to these mana costs, Frilled Mystics 4, Night Pack Ambushers 4, your curve is significantly increasing if you go this route, which is a good reason to play those Growth Spirals, but just be prepared to be a little bit further behind when you play it. That might make this game a little bit too difficult. If you do go that route, though, you can also do Wildborn Preserver. This is going to be a cheaper creature that gives you late game extension. You can play it down on turn 2 or whenever you've got excess mana that they didn't make you use to counter spells. And then whenever a non-human enters play, which you got like fairies, merfolk, you've got plenty of non-humans, you can pay your extra mana into it to make it bigger. And that'll just be like an endgame win condition. You might look into playing Opt for that deck, especially if you're running Fairy Vandal. It's just a little bit cheaper card draw than Omen of the Sea. I like Omen of the Sea. I think it does a little better work for us. But if you are pushing your mana curve, you may want to switch to something lower to the ground. So that's the deck. Probably worth including the Castle Vantress in it as well if you've got them. Just replace some islands. No reason not to. They'll give you some more mana sinks. If you saw those games, we didn't have a lot of options for it, but when we did run out of cards, it would have been nice. Yeah, that's the deck. It worked okay. A lot of close games, and I could have seen them mostly going the other way. So I'm not as pleased with this deck as I am with the Abzan mid-range we did last week, but it's fun. If you like playing something more in your opponent's face, more disruptive, it's got some good options. And you can tweak it to your preferences. If you don't like the quenches, you can go up more on Sinister Sabotage and other 3-mana hard counters. But yeah, we'll be back next week. I'm probably going to be doing something Planeswalker-y, some sort of control deck. Haven't decided on black-red or black-white yet, but I'm looking at something that can just kind of keep the board clear. With Planeswalkers. We'll see what I come up with. But yeah, I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.